My name is Benjamin Zieman and I'm Professor of Modern German History at the University of Sheffield, Department of History. The object that we are talking about today is a board game that was crafted by two members of the Reichsbanner Black-Red-Gold in Germany in 1928. The Reichsbanner Black-Red-Gold, that's its official name, was founded in early 1924 after the series of right-wing coups and assassinations in the years before as an attempt basically to defend the Weimar Republic against its right-wing radical nationalist opponents. In practice, that meant two different things. First of all, the Reichsbanner defended election campaigns, electioneering of the three parties that came together for the Reichsbanner. Those were the left liberals, the German Democratic Party, the Catholic Center Party, and the Social Democratic Party. And the second main aim was to offer a forum for the remembrance and also commemoration and working through of war experiences of working class veterans. These years from 1925 or 1924 to 1928 are very often described as the stabilization period because there weren't any major sort of violent clashes, no localized civil war as it had been the case on various occasions, 1919, 1920, again 1921. So the Republic was in calmer waters, so to speak. And the Reichsbanner used these years, to solidify its position and to gather the masses for a show of public support for the Republican state. There's a lot of speculation whether the Reichsbanner would have been strong enough to stage an uprising against the Nazi seizure of power in early 1933. I do not think that this was at any rate a realistic possibility. In the context of the Iron Front, the Reichsbanner members had tried to further develop their defensive capability, their street fighting capability, if you want, but this would have never been enough against the might and the aggressiveness and the brutality of the stormtroopers of the Nazi party and also obviously police and Reichswehr. So the Reichsbanner itself then faced the same fate as all other pro-Republican organizations and democratic organizations from the Weimar period. It was banned in the spring of 1933 by the Nazi state, and which didn't mean, though, that the drive, the energy between the Reichsbanner immediately disappeared. We know from many regional studies that local groups of Reichsbanner members, activists actually, who had carried their local branches along, were part and parcel key members of socialist resistance circles throughout the history of the Third Reich. So the red glow, if you want to call it the red glow, and it is really then a red glow and not a black-red glow, the red glow of the Reichsbanner as a socialist organization continues to operate in clandestine opposition circles throughout the history of the Third Reich. But the organization was banned and many of the leading members went into exile to save their lives. Others stayed at Germany, were imprisoned for a short time or ended up in concentration camps. There's many individual different stories around the persecution of the Reichsbanner under the Nazi dictatorship. This board game is designed for up to 8 players. Each one of them would be equipped with 3 tokens. So 8 players A to H, and they would put their 3 tokens on the letter associated with them, and then they would move on the tokens with a throw of the dice for each one of them. There's an outer circle, so they would have to go around the outer circle before they could move into the inner ring, also in Black-Red-Gold, and then they would have to go around the inner ring once again before they could finally move into the center, and the player who would first have his 3 tokens placed on the respective letter A to H in the very center of the board would have won the game. It was the initiative of 2 members of the Reichsbanner Black-Red-Gold who were unemployed at the time. There was a notice placed in the Reichsbanner membership journal that 2 of the Reichsbanner comrades in the town of Naumburg, which is in Thuringia, had come up with the idea for this board game, which is called Historia Gesellschaftsspiel, history board game or history parlor game, so it has a historical content essentially. Two of the numbered boxes on the board game refer to events in the Middle Ages. And that is another element of the creators of this board game, actually, to showcase the long-term credentials, the historical precedent behind Black-Red-Gold, and that it had already a prehistory prior to the national movement of the 19th century. I think this board game should be seen in two different sets of contexts. The first context is the attempt of the Reichsbanner as an organization across the board to display Black-Red-Gold in public, and so to make it clear to a wider public that there were Republicans and that they would proudly display the colors of the Republic in public. Also, not least, to dispel the notion that was widely held already at the time and still is accepted by some people nowadays, that the Weimar Germany was a republic without Republicans. Quite to the contrary, there were actually millions, at least 1 million in the Reichsbanner and many more outside of this organization, of dedicated, engaged Republicans who defended the Republic, and as a form of performative politics, displaying symbols in public, this was of utmost importance across the board for the whole of the Reichsbanner organization. That's why they carry the name of the national flag in the very name of their own organization. The second context, more specifically, is that as a very large mass organization, by far the largest of all the combat leagues that we have in Weimar Germany, for instance, the Steel Helmet, the Stahlhelm League of Frontline Soldiers, right-wing organizations, never had more than 350,000 members. So the Reichsbanner was much larger. And part of the Reichsbanner sociability, which was essentially based on working class culture, because 90% of the Reichsbanner members were Social Democrats, either as party members, trade union members, or as voters. And so the Reichsbanner organization is tapping into existing patterns of working class sociability, working class people coming together and enjoying spare time with each other.